Hello everyone and welcome back to the show. I am so unbelievably excited for today's episode. I have my beautiful client and Cancerian sister, Mackenzie Foster, on the podcast today, talking all about her experience of really moving through some of probably the most challenging parts of her life with me in a one-on-one container, and the deep, profound transformations that happened during a very short 4 months together. We dive into so much: inner child, mother wound, building a business. Like, we truly do it all. And so I am just so unbelievably excited. So I'm going to keep this intro as short as I can, but because we are also in Cancer season and with my favorite Cancer sister, I just want to take a moment to talk a little bit about the season and how to best approach Cancer season. I have a Cancer Venus, and actually, now that I think about it too, the most people that are in my life, so like out of all the signs, the most people in my life are Cancers. My mom, my grandma, my dog, 5 different best friends. Like, I have a lot of Cancers in my life and I absolutely love them. And I guess it makes sense because I have a Cancer Venus, and you know, I don't know who doesn't love a Cancer. I'm just gonna be totally honest. I truly love how nurturing and caring and sweet they are. Yes, they can be a little sassy, but they're also deeply emotional, right? And so this is a beautiful time of year, especially during, you know, this beautiful initiative energy, right? Cancer season is a cardinal sign. We started a brand new season: summer in the northern hemisphere, winter in the southern. Cancer is really brings this beautiful initiation energy, right? It's a start of a new season, and energy, though it can feel, when we go into summer, it naturally slows down a little. I feel like we'll start to feel a slowness a little bit more in August because we have a few different retrogrades starting to happen. However, for Cancer season, I feel like the best way to really love on yourself this Cancer season is to really hone in on your roots, right? Spend time with your family, spend time with your friends, spend time with the people that truly see you and get you. Have those conversations, those deep, intimate conversations that Cancers absolutely love to have. They're so compassionate and so empathetic, and they really do wear their hearts on their sleeves. And so taking a little piece of Cancer's book this season and really allow yourself to be expressed, especially your emotional expression, right? Taking time to really make your home your sanctuary, right? Cancerians love their home. They love their home. It's their special place, right? They don't want to come out of their shell. And it's because their homes they truly make their homes a place to be. So nurturing your home, loving on your home, getting in some water. Cancer's a beautiful, empathetic water sign. So finding your way to an ocean, lake, river, any natural water, and really letting yourself soak in the sun, spend time with the moon, and really just fostering in on your roots. What helps ground you? What is your foundation? Cancer rules over family, roots, emotional, nurturing the home. And so really letting yourself nurture these places during this next season before we head into Leo, when it really is all about play and that inner childlike wonder and expression, joy, and creativity. Oh my God. And something really fun that you can do is go look at where Cancer is in your chart, because when you go look at your chart, you will see that we have all of the signs, believe it or not. And maybe we don't have any planets amplifying that sign. However, I do want to see what house the Cancer season transit is going to take you through. So that's another way that you can start to really understand. When you look at where Cancer falls in your chart, you can really begin to dissect as the sun moves through these next like 28 to 30 days, some of the different themes and aspects of your life that are really going to be illuminated during this time. I meant to look mine up and I completely forgot, and I'm already recording this. So I don't know. Even though my Venus is in Cancer, I'm forgetting what house it's in, but I'm going to look that up literally once I get off of this and check it out, because I think it's a really fun way to kind of get a personalized theme of like what this next Cancer season is really going to begin to bring up for you. And maybe you can even start journaling on these places and really begin to like water this area of your chart, right? Thinking, just bringing in that Cancer energy, bringing in that water energy. How can we water this area, right? Now that it's being really illuminated and activated, what about this house can we pour ourselves into and nurture so we can really feel at home, rooted, grounded, safe, expressed, empathetic, compassionate, and just truly loving all of the blessings that Cancer season can bring us. So without further ado, I'm literally going to bring in my favorite Cancerian. I mean, it's so hard. I have so many in my life, but Mackenzie truly is such a gem. I can't wait for you to meet her. This episode is truly spectacular. But Mackenzie is a psychic medium, tarot reader, and spiritual mentor here to help you embrace your spiritual awakening journey, ignite your inner psychic, and live a grounded, witchy life. This girl truly represents big Cancer energy, and also what it looks like to literally have her Pluto is aligned up with her ascendant. So when she was born, literally we have Pluto conjunct with her ascendant, ruling over, of course, the subconscious, the other world, right? Like, so her being a psychic not only makes sense, and then she forgot to mention in the podcast, but she wanted me to mention it in the intro, in astrocartography, when you're looking at where different planets' energies are on the map of the world, right? Astrocartography is really, really cool. You can find out like a great place to fall in love or go on vacation or start a business and enhance your spirituality. Like, it's so incredible. But she's actually living on her Pluto line as well. So like, it just makes a lot of sense. And I love astrology so much. And I will probably say it every episode, that like, it's impossible to not believe in astrology because it just always finds its way to working. So without further ado, here is Mackenzie. Hello, Mackenzie. Welcome to the show. I am so unbelievably excited to have you back because this is also not your first time here, which makes me so happy. I'm so honored to have clients like you that just I'm obsessed with, and I love to continue to work with you. So, Mackenzie, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm just as excited and grateful to be here. So thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, literally, of course, anytime. So tell my audience a little bit about you, even if you do want to say your sun, moon, and rising, your human design, because I'm sure we'll get into it. But yeah, just a little bit about you, what you do, because you do such incredible work. So please.
Aw, thank you. So for those who don't know me, my name is Mackenzie. I am a psychic medium, tarot reader, and spiritual mentor. I really help my clients embrace their spiritual awakening journey instead of being scared or confused about it. I help them live a very grounded, witchy life and ignite their inner psychic. No big deal. So I'm for my astrology, my birth chart, I'm a Cancer sun, I'm an Aries moon, and I'm a Sagittarius rising. And I think you have your Leo Mars and Leo, your Mars and Mercury is in Leo too, right?
Mine?
Yeah.
My Leo is in Mercury, and my Mars is actually in Virgo.
Oh,
It's very
okay.
interesting.
Yeah. So we're Leo Mercury twinsies.
Twinsies.
Um, oh yeah, we love it. But I'm a manifesting generator. If I'm saying this right, I have a 3-5, right? An emotional authority, right?
Mhm.
We
So
love that.
good. Oh my gosh. Well, even hearing you describe your work and talk about your work is like eons different than where we started together, which is so beautiful. So I really want to unpack that and start to like really where you first found me and, what called you to go deeper into this work. So for those that don't know, Mackenzie and I started working together when I ran Sexual Alchemy back, when was that? September?
October.
Yeah, September, October of 2023. And then you signed on to 4 months of one-on-one with me. And then we just went through like a massive journey together. It changed everything. So please tell us like what really like drew you to me and then also like that decision to dive even deeper.
Yeah, so that's a lot, but I will try my best. Yes, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, September, October last year in 2023, I found you on Instagram. I'm like 90% sure. Yes, I found you on Instagram. I have a whole story for that, but I found you on Instagram, listened to your very old podcast, and I followed you. And I've always, like I had my spiritual awakening in 2020. So I dove into all things spiritual in 2020. I've always gone to like normal talk therapy, but as I was working through like I was reading my tarot cards, I was going to my therapist, I had an awareness of like the limiting beliefs, the wounds I had, the trauma I had, but I didn't know how to like literally remove it from my body, which I know sounds like weird, but I felt like a lot of my shit was living in my body and I didn't know how to heal it from like very deep within. And so when I found your Instagram, what really called me to you was like, oh, this is very obviously what you do is deeper than any therapy. And it was focused on quantum healing, energetic work. And the way you were talking was very passionate and serious. And that was very special to me because you take what you do very seriously, of course. And I haven't been used to like my parents taking energetics and spiritual stuff seriously. So seeing someone talk to someone like me at the time and then also taking like the energetics of it all very seriously, I was like, oh my God, finally someone gets it. Like, I need to be in her world and like let her help me and do something for myself that is deeper than anything I've ever experienced. So I dove into sexual alchemy, that program with you. And then I was like, of course, she's everything I needed. But we did like a ton of womb work. So you taught me, and you were the first person who ever said the word womb to me in like a serious like way and like a healing way and like a respectful honoring your body way. And that was so new to me. So you taught me how to heal trauma within my womb that was I was holding on to, that was giving me a shit ton of anxiety. And you were actually the first person to ever give me a glimpse of what it looks like to live anxiety free, which I thought was fucking impossible. Am I allowed to cuss? Okay.
Please, please, please.
Okay, cool. And then like just a little fast forward to today, I'm barely living with any anxiety. So like just that transformation is so mind-blowing. So I went through that program with you and like just got to know my body really well and felt very connected to my womanhood and my energy and how I worked. And then I was like, I need to go even deeper because that was a group program. So it wasn't as much as you did pay attention to me, of course, it wasn't as specific as we could have gotten. So I was like, I need you to have all of your eyes on me every day, please. So, so I went immediately into one-on-one with you, so which was absolutely needed, to put it very lightly. So right now I'm 19 in I was 19 when I signed on with one-on-one with you, and I moved out. I was living with my parents and I moved out in January. So, like, the gap in between the group program and us working on one on one, I went through like the biggest fucking transition of my actual life. And I felt like I was dying. I felt like I was the most anxious I've ever been. I was the panicking. I felt the most misunderstood I've ever felt in my life. I was so scared, and I was just like, please help me through this transition, because not only am I moving out of my parents' house, which happened in a very traumatic way, but also the months leading up to that was also very traumatic through like losing friends and doing all of that while the people around me, everyone except for like my boyfriend, was not supporting me in any way and actually bullying me for months. So like my family was, all my friends were at the time. So I'm going through like such a rough time. I dive into one-on-one with you, and I mean, us meeting weekly, having daily support in Voxer, and you just validating like who I am as a person, like my literal DNA through like astrology and human design. That was the most transformational experience I've ever been through in my entire life. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at now. We finished our one-on-one, and I feel like I can actually stand on my own 2 feet for once in my life. So does that answer your question?
It does. It does answer my question. Girl, I'm at a loss for words because not only I remember our first session, right? And you coming to me just so raw, right?
Yeah.
And like so like everything you were going through a tower moment, right? Where like everything was crumbling and everything needed to change because you were really being called to really learn what it means to stand on your own 2 feet. But we didn't even realize it at the time, right? We didn't even realize the woman you were becoming.
Yeah.
And being able to hold you and really guide you in your own remembering. I mean, what transpired in just a short 4 months is like more than I feel like anyone could ever want for any of their clients. And so, what I loved about our time is not only the way that you showed up, but you were so willing. And I think that's the difference when it comes to the results that you have, because people can join these programs and they can do all of these things. What I've always admired about you is your willingness to go there and your willingness to go into your depths and to feel, truly feel all of the feelings that came up. Because it turns out, like, though, yes, we worked on a lot of the mother wound, we worked on father wounding as well, but it was really like I felt like we really were able to begin to reparent this little Mackenzie. We worked on even like sexual trauma. Like we really like there was just I felt like no topic off limits, and you were really just opening yourself up to just receiving in all ways. And so I want you to really kind of take us through like what that was like for you to like really like show up in that way, and like what made you be so willing to go there, right? And really immerse yourself over and week after week, right? Because not everyone does this work. Like, and it's not that say every week we were like, chipping away all of these things, right? But it really does take a soul that is strong and ready to do it. And I truly believe that that is why you are now living with a hell of a lot less anxiety, that your business is doing so well. Like it was actually crazy to even see how much your business started to grow and shift and change through this process as well. Like it was just by doing personal work, right? Like I'm not a business coach, so we really I didn't give you frameworks or anything crazy like that. Like we were not diving in, like it was really doing these like personal, very, very vulnerable work that really started to ricochet into every other area.
Yeah, there's so many aspects. Like, you're so right. There was no topic off limits. And I think I actually just posted this on Threads, which is so random, but I posted this on Threads. I was like, I just realized like what triggered my spiritual awakening, like what made me dive into all the tarot and witchcraft. And it was like all of the abuse I went through from my father, from sexual trauma, yeah, that kind of covers it, but also just feeling so misunderstood my entire life, like being bullied my whole life. Like all of the shit I've gone through as such an empathetic, like intuitive person and like deep feeling person, I wanted to dive into deeper modalities because I didn't want to treat other people like people had treated me. And it kind of is the same way with going into this kind of work with you is I knew that if I kept holding on to, and it's like you can think this stuff is so woo woo. You can think like, oh, releasing emotions from your body is like so woo woo, but it's like you can feel anxiety in your body and you can logically understand that you don't know where it's coming from. So, why, like, of course, it makes sense that the abuse I suffered as a child, my body would still be holding on to that. Like, that's scientifically proven. So, I knew that I couldn't just like keep putting it to the side my whole life, because then I would just be miserable my whole life. Like, what I'm going to be is suffering and anxiety and like my whole body riddled with anxiety my whole life. Like, oh, I'm going to be codependent to my mom my whole life. Like, that's not what my dream life looks like. So, I think my willingness to go there comes from like holding myself accountable and being like, yes, it's not my fault. This stuff happened to me, but like, what am I actually going to do about it now? And I think it also comes from, I think it is strength, like just being strong enough to like cry with you and to like scream and yell with you, but also to just like talk openly. Cause you know all my like deepest, darkest secrets, like there was nothing I held back because I know that if I held back in any way, that shit wouldn't actually get done. And I'm someone who doesn't like to feel tied down, and I was feeling tied down by everything I was holding on to and all of my issues. And yeah, I think in the beginning, our first session was I just moved into my boyfriend's place. He just like took me in, like taking care of me, and I just blew shit up with my family because I'm finally just leaving the nest and being like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. So it was me finally putting my foot down and saying, I'm not going to be treated this way because it's making me feel like shit and I can't take it anymore. So the first session was like right when that happened. So I'm immediately crying when we get on the Zoom call. And I think for a while there, it was going to the deepest, darkest depths of my soul, like not feeling worthy enough, not feeling understood, which was a huge one, not feeling like my voice matters. Like there was literally like every wound possible was somehow living in my body. And I went there because I was like, if I don't go there, it's still going to live there. And I'm not going to be able to live a happy life if like I can't even feel confident in my own body and in my own life. So to have you as a guide, like bringing me on the journey and releasing shit out of my body, it was really hard, but like I couldn't have done that without you. And I don't know, I couldn't have felt this good today if I didn't deal with my trauma. So I think that answers your question. But yeah, I don't want people to think that you're just like screaming, crying, throwing up every session. Like we also had like fun girl talks and like broke down my business and like talked about things I love and got really clear on how like I wanted to like decorate my apartment. And like we also had a lot of fun. And I didn't, oh my God, I'm not gonna cry, holy fuck. But I didn't have anyone else in my life that like did that with me, so it was nice.
Oh, honey. I think what's so beautiful about your willingness to show up in everything that you just shared, especially in the beginning, because we needed, right, in order to go and have, because truly my work is really, I think, about an entire identity shift. Like we are bringing you from one place and one reality, and we are taking you to a whole nother reality that has very different belief systems and very different standards. And so in order to build this new life, we need to crumple everything that is no longer working. And so, yeah, I want to say those first maybe 2 months, we were really diving into this wounding. And I really want to highlight in this wounding, we were bringing you to a place where not only we were remembering the root, so how this belief started to come into place, but there was also this realization that even through this wounding, at the root, you were not broken. at any point with this wounding, right? It was always a Mackenzie that was there who was innocent, who was shining her light, right? And armor came up trying really in attempt to protect this innocent, sweet, bubbly, charismatic, empathetic, compassionate person, right? And so from this place and really remembering that like we were never broken, that this is simply the behavior that then was built on top of this conditioning because these experiences made us believe something about ourselves. And once we started to dismantle those beliefs, that's when we started to, and I feel like the biggest shifts for you was really starting to establish boundaries, like very, very strong boundaries, boundaries in your business, boundaries with your parents, boundaries in your relationship. And the more that you started to build those boundaries and learn how to actually, we really went through like, and that's why, yeah, we had the funnest talks about, because we're also not here to just like, we dive into the hard shit, but we dive into the hard shit so we know how to make our future brighter, right? And so we give you action steps, like, and I let your highest self give you those action steps. So, you moved out of your parents' house, like the house that you grew up in, the house that you've always been in, into your boyfriend's place. And like, not only is that a huge move, but like, even for the nervous system on your body, like this is now someone else's place. This is now someone else's. And now learning how to like, okay, like I can make this a home. Like, what can I do to bring this element in? And for you, it was like really bringing the earth inside and like making your home your sanctuary and making it more comfortable. So then you could start taking walks outside and you could start like taking the car and you really started to like slowly but surely like through this work of like constantly showing up for yourself and recommitting to yourself because that's really what this is like we're crumbling these old belief systems because committing to ourselves is committing to that little girl that said that for whatever reason believed that she could not do it, that it was not right to do it. And now she is learning that like, oh wait, the way that I was this little girl is exactly I can now be exactly who this little girl needed me to be. And so you really started to grow and shift and change. And like, yes, we dove into the wounding, we dove into your offer suite, we dove into your home, the music that you listen to, we dove into Avatar. Like, we really started to like make your life, I feel like, a true representation of who you are on a soul level.
Yeah, you said that beautifully. And that was like, yeah, I mean, to go from not wanting to walk outside, like genuinely not wanting to literally go for a walk, to like feeling guilty because now I'm in some other person's home, to like, I run this bitch, like that's crazy. That's, I'm kidding.
You're not.
No, I'm not. No, but yeah, I mean that's a wild transformation. That is again so mind-blowing. I feel like I finally like shed what everyone put onto me and what I grasped onto and absorbed and shed that away. And now I'm actually living the life I want. And it was when you talk about boundaries, it was like I say no like more than I say yes nowadays. Like no is such a cool, fun thing to say for me now. And I'm like, yeah, mom, my relationship is off limits. Like, I'm not sorry about it either. Like being in the word that keeps coming up with boundaries for me is like ruthlessness, because for me, it literally felt like I was literally like killing someone by saying no to them because I'm such an empathetic person that I thought I was hurting their feelings so bad. But I've genuinely learned that ruthlessness, even though it's not ruthless at all to set boundaries, but to me it feels like that sometimes, that is so needed for so many reasons. That's a whole different conversation. But yeah, I mean, boundaries was absolutely such a, you could just see like Cody told me the other day, like, oh yeah, you don't really like apologize that much anymore. Like you don't really, you actually say no to stuff you don't want to do. And earlier this year, it would have been like, oh, I'm saying no to something. And then I said no to something and he would be like, thank you for actually saying no instead of saying yes and then being miserable. So anyway, I don't know if that made sense, but yes, boundaries were effing huge.
Oh my God. I mean, everything that you just said was, again, truly a testament. And I feel like we needed to start with boundaries, especially with, because I feel like boundaries is really like the foundation. And I don't think we learn that. Like, we don't learn that boundaries are technically like, and our standards that we hold are our foundation for life, right? And when we want to build a certain life, we need to have these strong foundations. We need to know what it means to actually take care of ourselves. And I want you to start to think about, so because now like those first 2 months we were really building, right? So we were putting the foundations in place, we were building those boundaries. When do you start to feel like things started to change and things started to shift and things started to get a little lighter? And I feel like then, because then I feel like by the second half, we were really focusing on your business and the money wounds and the scarcity mindset and things like that. So when did things start to shift, I feel like?
Yeah, I think it was that 2 month mark roughly. And it was also like I noticed a shift when I started asking different questions. Like it was no longer like, oh, am I okay to feel this way? It was more like, okay, I feel this way. What can we do about it now? Like it was like I actually started to believe that this life was mine and I can actually create whatever I want. And then that's when, as I'm going after, you know, not I don't want to say going after clients like I'm chasing them down the street, but it was more like when I'm manifesting what I want, which is more clients and helping people and it started to be like, okay, how do I want to show up in the world? How does my voice sound? How do I express myself in the way that I feel is true to me and not just what I was told to do? Um, and it also was like, how can I what are my goals? What are my actual goals now that all the bullshit is away? What do I actually want now? So yeah, I think that shift was kind of asking different questions. It no longer was a question of like whether I'm worthy or deserving. It was more of like, how can I make it happen? And I think as I was manifesting this, that's kind of where the slight little limiting beliefs would come up. And then I would address them with you and be like, hey, like I'm feeling this way. Why is this? How can we shift this? It should be like vision quest and journey about it, or is it just a talk session? Which I love that flexibility. That was like my favorite part because sometimes I just needed a friend to talk to, and then the other times I needed you to like move some shit around in here. So yeah, it was like I definitely started moving faster, I feel like, because I healed from the mourning I went through of my past life, which literally was a few months ago, which is crazy. But so I was like mourning and I gave you and I gave me space to mourn and grieve and heal and like build myself back up again and see that I'm actually like not dying, like I'm okay. And then now it's like, oh, now what can we do? That there's so much room for opportunities now that I have my actual own life. So yeah, does that make sense?
It does. It really does. And I feel like this is where things get really, really exciting, right? Because once we allowed everything to crumble, once we moved away all of the gunk, then what we're left with is this fresh slate. And now the things that even old life Mackenzie, as we're coining her now, used to want and her old goals, now with all of those old belief systems out of the way, it was like, wait, doing it this way and doing things that way and wanting this goal and wanting that goal and needing to move out or like there were so many things that like we felt like we thought that we needed. And then when we actually pulled it all away, we were like, oh, wait, this is what we actually want. This is what I'm actually moving towards. And I think a really big tool that helped with this was one, really starting to master your emotional authority,
Oh
really,
yeah.
really leaning into your emotional authority and learning how to move through your day and love on your emotional authority because those with emotional authority, myself included, it can be a hard one to move through. Our emotional wave is no fucking joke. But I feel like the more that you started to embrace it and really learn how to move with it, and
diving into your astrology too and like really, really like seeing firsthand, it's like, oh my fucking God, like I am literally doing like exactly what I'm meant to do. Like I am meant to do this. And so tell me about like what it was like to start to like work with your authority and work with your astrology and like really begin to like structure and align your life using these tools.
Yeah, when you gave me, I don't know exactly what you call it, but the astrology, human design, numerology fucking breakdown, that was the most validating hour and a half of my life. That was like every like 1 minute I was going, holy shit, that is crazy. That is crazy. And I knew like roughly like, I know my sun, moon, and rising. I know my basic placements in astrology in my birth chart. And I know like I'm a life path 3. Like I know the basic stuff, but when you looked at like specific transits that you knew would make something click in my head, that was wild. And just starting with the emotional authority piece, that's another huge way I can see myself moving differently is because I'm no longer like, oh, what do I feel like I should do right now? It's actually like, what do I feel is good for me right now? And if that's, when I think about it in my business, it's not pushing myself to the absolute limit anymore. It's okay, do I need a nap? Like, because if I'm at what I learned from this, and regarding business and kind of regarding everything is if I'm doing something with the intention of like, oh, I should do this rather than like it feels so good to do this, that is like the biggest life-changing difference. So paying it and it makes so much sense because that was a huge thing with me and my mom, like going through moving out with her, is she would give me all of the logical reasoning behind things and I would be like, that's great, but I don't run my life by what I think is best. I run my life by how I feel and I can't help that. Like that's how I move throughout life. And when you told me I was an emotional authority, I was like, duh, like, no, no shit. That is me to it. Like, the words emotional authority is just me in like 2 words. Like, so yeah, that was absolutely huge. And the astrology and the human design, it was, I've been told my whole life by other people who I, of course, no longer talk to, have always told me, oh, you're so chaotic, you're so sensitive, you're so dramatic. And like the number one thing you told me was like, yeah, duh, what about it? Like, that's how you're supposed to run your life. Like, your fucking chart and everything is dramatic coded. Like, there's no way I can't be dramatic. So, I think it validated my relationship. Like the fact that he is so like in love with me, no matter how dramatic I am, no matter how fucking crazy I get, is so cool. And I now have friends because I also did not have any friends when I started with you. I now have friends that honor my personality. I no longer hide because after that session, I was like, oh my God, I'm such like Leo, fire, a little bit of water. Like I'm coded like that in my DNA. So I'm no longer hiding that. So now I'm matching with friends who are similar, but also like respect my drama and respect how I feel and are like I said no to plans the other day and they were like, period, like I'm here if you need me. And instead of like being like guilt tripped about it or something weird. But yeah, and then also going through my astrology and human design, it was so like witch medium coded also, which was so validating. And it's interesting because it revealed a lot about my business, of course, because being a tarot reader, which I actually didn't even call myself a witch before I worked with you. So embracing like the medium witch of me, which is the paranormal, supernatural, like oracle seer between worlds part of me, was so what I put on the back burner because I thought I wasn't good at it. But then after that session, I was like, oh, that's actually what I'm meant to be doing for a living. And I'm meant to be making money doing that too, which is even the cherry on top. So yeah, embracing all of that. That was, I mean, I'm not going to say it's my favorite session because there was definitely more transformational sessions, but it was the most fun. It was great.
I loved doing this for you because to me, like seeing everything, like it just made so much sense. Like your Aries moon, your Sagittarius rising, and your Leo Mercury. I'm like, girl, Of course we're dramatic. Of course we're loud. Of course we're passionate. Of course we're excited. And of course we're also very blunt, right? A lot of those plays are very like blunt and to the point, right? So of course there's room that we can learn when we can soften, when we can like lean back and receive. But I love like just showing you like how big and how bright you can be. And especially with the work that you do. I was looking at your chart and it's like, girl, your Pluto is literally on your ascendant. Like I've never even seen that before. You know, the only other person that I've heard had that placement is Danielle Page. I don't know if you know her. She's a very famous astrologer, channeler, like
Ooh.
otherworldly being. Love her to death. She also has her Pluto on her ascendant. So it's like you are just meant. I was like, not only is she a witch, especially with all your eighth house placements, your Mercury in Leo in your eighth house, right? So truly meant to communicate about the witch, about entities, ghosts, the other side, other realms. Like you were truly meant to embody that. And I feel like I didn't even realize at the time how much you did not like feel as like secure in that and confident in those things. And the way that you, because again, you started out as, oh, I'm just a tarot reader. And even in sexual alchemy, I'm like, girl, we're not just a tarot reader. I'm like, we're going to take this a million times steps further. And then confirming all of that with your chart, I was just like, oh my God, like you are truly here to like be that witch. Like you are really, really here to like teach and help people learn, like, and really be the bridge between the two sides, right? Between these realities. And I feel like the more you started to own that in your business and in your life, that's when all of a sudden friends started showing up. That's when business started popping off. That's when, like, all of a sudden, like, you started to feel, I feel like, just your demeanor, I feel like, began to change. And it was really, really cool. It was just really cool to see.
I forgot about the teacher part too, because that's also what I've been avoiding for years since I started my business was, oh, I'm not going to be a teacher. I'm just a psychic. I'm just a channeler. I'm just a message giver. That's it. But it was also like, no, you're actually supposed to teach people how to do the same thing or teach of what you do, just like actually be a mentor too. Like I didn't claim the mentor title. I didn't claim the witch title. I'm now talking about mediumship more and more, and it feels like way more natural to me. It doesn't feel like I'm hiding.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that was the coolest part, 100%. What was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. It'll come to me. Yeah, I don't remember. But yeah, that was incredible.
We'll find it. We'll find it. I also loved when because through your business too, and now like realizing and like really aligning yourself to these astrology placements, to your human design. I think one of my favorite exercises we did together was we actually did start to mirror your offer suite to you actually being a manifesting generator
Yes.
and really embracing you being a manifesting generator, meaning for those that don't know, like you are meant to be multi-passionate and really feel like you have freedom and space to do all of the things. And where we started to feel so stuck and stagnant was in these offerings that felt like it required so much of your eyes and ears and energy, right? Individual attention. I remember you came to me, you're like, oh yeah, my membership, has to cap off at 15 people. And I'm like, well, girl, then that is not a membership. Like, we need to go through this. So tell us a little bit about that process and what it was like working with me to really, and now how it feels like really having this new structure around your own energy.
That was extremely fun. I loved doing that. It's interesting because looking back, I can't even believe I did that. I just can't even believe that was me. Like, I can't even believe that I was going to cap off my membership at 15 people. Like, what? That is so crazy to me. But yeah, I don't remember exactly what my offer suite was like back then. So I had my like signature spiritual awakening 101 course, but it wasn't like a passive course. So I think that was one of the major things we discovered was like, if I'm wanting to build a full-time income business, I can't keep having live launches and like holding on at the being at the edge of my seat waiting for people to join because that's what's going to build my income. Like I need to be able to just have people come into my world, look at an offer suite that solves a shit ton of problems for them and hop in whenever they want. And we did so much of that, of just like exploring passive courses I can make that didn't have to involve so much of my energy and like suck me dry of like all of my attention, you know? And that was such a scary idea to me. But once I did it, I was like, this feels so much better and like lighter and like more open and easier and like more air is able to, I'm able to breathe more air. And when I think about my membership, I love my membership. The Soul Guidance membership is literally my favorite offer. And you're right. Like you were saying like, oh, you can only handle 15 people and you're tier two. Like that's a group program. That's not a membership. So we switched it all to just be able to have people come in and it could be 2,000 people and it could be, I'll be fine. You know, I mean, obviously it's a little overwhelming, but like it'll be good, you know, like I can handle that energetically. Like my capacity is good for that, you know? So it may, like you say you're not a business coach, but I mean, come on now. That was pretty badass to put it lightly. I mean, you literally just were like, bam, 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 like, how does this feel? How does this feel? And you're right, you're not a business coach because I mean, the business coaches I've worked with, luckily, are like, does this feel good to you? But a lot of them just like tell you what to do and what you should do and like just put you in this little box and like that's all you can do. But you were like reflecting back to me, like, hey, this is how it looks from the outside. Like, how does this feel to you if we change this maybe? Like, how do you feel about that? Like, it was a conversation and not you just like telling me what to do, you know? And now it feels very good. And my membership is, you know, I feel really good about it, but there's so much I want to create in the membership and like more courses and more witchy stuff and more paranormal mediumship stuff, which is already so crazy that I even just said that because again,
I was hoping you were gonna say that.
I didn't even like want to step into that at all. But the biggest thing I've felt from talking to you about my business and working with you really in depth about my business was now I can actually okay, so here's where trusting my channel comes into play. Because now I can actually ask myself, like, what do I want to create? What does that look like? Instead of going to a bunch of other accounts and trying to pull inspiration and fit it all together into my own little thing, or hiring a business coach and spending thousands of dollars for someone to tell me what I should do. It was like, okay, now I can just like step back, go into my little cocoon for a little bit and just birth something from actually me and trust that it's good and good enough and worthy of being out there and worthy of being paid for and all of that. So that, I mean, the fact that I can do that now is really, really effing cool. And I'm like, it's funny because I'm right now, like, I have probably a list of like 100 ideas that I've just like randomly came up with that I absolutely love after working with you. And I remember back then I was just so shut down at my creativity. I literally was like, oh, I've never been creative. Like I'm never really good at that. But like I actually really am good at that. So yeah, I mean, energetically, so much has shifted and my business feels a lot better. Like I know my voice now, especially with my Leo Mercury. Like I never knew that I was supposed to just be blatantly honest and loud about my opinions. And now I can like, I mean, it's still a work in progress, of course, but now I can actually post an opinionated thing and be like, if you don't like it, then I don't really like you anyway. So no, I'm kidding, but but like I'm way more confident in my voice, in my aesthetic, and how I show up and what I want to talk about. Also, like I don't feel like the world is like ending and like it's so like doom when I don't have it figured out. Because I'm also very much more trusting that it's going to come in time. You know, like I've very much like figured out the business journey, the spiritual business journey specifically, way more comfortably now, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh my God, I'm so happy that you said all of those things because I was wondering I was like, I wonder if she's gonna say it. I wonder if she's gonna go there. Because this exercise really started from realizing that it's like, oh, like what this suite that we were working with at the time, like it didn't feel like we had enough space to create the things that we wanted to create. And as a manifesting generator, you need that freedom
Yeah.
to dive into all of the different things, right? To dive into the tarot, to dive into your channeling, to dive into the paranormal. And so like once we took back your energy, I feel like, and actually was able to structure it in a way that gave you more space to then trust your channel to speak and really feel into your creative portal. Of course, you have 1,000 freaking ideas, and you're meant to now use your emotional authority to now follow what ideas feel good and are ready to be born right now. And like, that's why all these tools coming into place is like so fucking awesome. And it's really meant to be used with your intuition too. Like, intuitively, you were already being guided down this path. But now, with these tools in place, now we can actually, instead of maybe taking like the next 10 years, to like in trial and error, just trying to figure it all out, we were able to quantum leap literally in like 2 months, changing everything to the point where like you're owning your voice. You now trust your voice. You used to say, we started this podcast saying that your voice didn't matter. Now it's like, not only does my voice not matter, but I actually have no regard to anyone else's opinion on what my opinion is, like on what my truth is, and whether or not I am able and willing to share my truth. And like, I will never forget the first time you posted like a riskier post on Instagram. You were like, Megan, like so many people reached out and resonated with me. And I'm like, because I feel like that was one of the biggest things we worked through together is like bringing you, Mackenzie, to the forefront. And like
Oh,
realizing it was like we were almost like, because again, with this work, it's so funny. We don't realize the different ways that we hide without realizing
yes.
that we're hiding. Like even
Yes.
face to cam, even like just you actually starting to use your voice more, not only behind the scenes with your parents and your relationships and your friendships, but then to your audience, right? To the people that you love. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, it's like we need Mackenzie to come to the forefront. Like we need her to take the stand. And
Yeah.
through this work of like you feeling into your channel, really beginning to learn what it's like to not only trust your channel and trust your voice, but share it with the world, only then brought you immediately, because again, manifesting generators move the fastest, I feel like, out of all of the signs. They are just moving, which is, as a projector, I'm like, I admire y'all so much. But it's incredible. Like it was incredible. And I feel like it really helped you completely then shift your identity and now bring you kind of to this layer that we're in now in this new life that we're kind of living now.
Do you remember what that post was?
I think it was around setting boundaries. I like and saying like you sent that text. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's funny. I must have made another similar post then because I actually just posted a like carousel thing on Instagram that screenshotted like setting a boundary with my stepmom because she sent me that. So I must have done that already, right?
Well,
I don't
maybe now I'm misremembering because maybe I feel like it
yeah.
was something before, but now
I
I don't know
think
if
it was. I don't know. It
I don't know
doesn't
if I
matter.
remember now. I'm
It
like, oh my God, like what is time? It's so long ago. I know you did that one,
was,
but I think there was one. I think there was one before that one.
yeah,
'Cause
I
I think it
agree.
was you on your stories.
Oh yeah. I think I don't think it's the one we're thinking about, but I also remember a time where that like I think it was no, it wasn't. But I was gonna say it was the tarot, like a movie came out about tarot that was
That
just
was
like
it. No,
wasn't
that was
that?
it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And everyone was like, "Oh my God, I agree." And I was getting hate and everything, and I was like, "You guys are stupid. I don't care." But
Okay,
no,
well, give the context and tell everyone.
okay. It
So,
was so the movie, there's a movie that came out called Tarot, And it was about I saw this, like, I was watching Peacock, I was watching like my reality TV, and like the commercial came on and it was the preview, and it was like how these kids got a hold of like a quote unquote cursed deck, and how when they pulled a card, they got the meanings right, I'm pretty sure, but then the card would actually summon a literal demon that represented the card. And I was like, really? Like, you're pulling the high priestess and now a demon's in your fucking room? Like, that's not even what the high priestess even, there's like no cards that say like now that's a demon coming for you. Like, it was just so annoying. So I posted like this, it was a pretty long video about just me just ranting and just being a Mercury Leo fucking, fire sign, loud, opinionated woman. And like 99% of the comments were like, oh my God, yes. Like, and it blew up on TikTok and it got like thousands of views. But there was also some people that were like, you guys should watch out for tarot because it is pretty demonic. And I was just like, I was like laughing, like it didn't even bother me at all. So yeah, that was a pretty, and for me, that was so like risky, like I totally would have never, I mean, I don't want to say never, but I had the confidence pretty quickly working with you to post stuff like that. And I just posted, which is a very good example of how much I've transformed, was my stepmom. I've told her millions of times over the years that her religion is not for me, right? She's homophobic, she's transphobic, like I'm not going to go by your beliefs. And I've said like religion is off limits. Like we can have a relationship because, you're in my life and I do love you, but I'm not going to talk about this with you. And she texted me like, oh, do you want to do this like 6-week Bible study course with me? No, I don't. So I sent this like entire long paragraph just setting like a major boundary, and I made a post about it like immediately after, and that was just like a no-brainer for me. Like me, January Mackenzie would never.
I love this because it's like I just feel like, and this is where then we kind of was like, and maybe because I was like watching a lot of oh my God, what was I watching? Hunger Games. And I'm like, this is you being the girl on fire. I'm like, the girl on fire is here. And now that she's here, now that you bring this part of you, like this remembrance into your awareness, you can't forget that, right? There's no turning back. There's no going back to what we once were. And so as we continue to build week after week, building your boundaries, building your new standards, your new values, your new goals, your trust within yourself, aligning your lifestyle to your energy that feels good. So it's like, and allowing everything around you to feel safe and safe enough within. So then, of course, using a real life example that happened to you is a no fucking brainer. It becomes a no brainer. And then
Yeah.
so many people came in, found you, and loved on you for that. And then you were able to also receive the hate too and be like, y'all are dumb, literally. And like able to move on. And so all this is so amazing. And I don't want to keep you too long, but to wrap this up, kind of tell me where you're at now. Like, what have these last 4 months really shown you about yourself? How did you exit this time? And now, like, just give us the goods.
Yeah. I Yeah, I mean, we got on this call and you were like, how's life? And I was like, good. Like, there's literally nothing to complain about. And, I don't want it to seem like, oh, I'm healed now. Like, we're all good. Now I'm perfectly happy and confident in myself. And of course, like, I have built myself up so much. And I feel like the strongest I've ever felt in my entire life. And that also doesn't mean, I don't have days where I'm feeling anxious again, or I'm feeling, my confidence isn't the highest, or I'm feeling, a little worried or whatever. I can safely say 100% I don't spiral into like breakdowns anymore. I very much listen to my body and I take that very seriously. I had a very anxious morning yesterday and I posted on my story. I was like, I had a very anxious few days. So I'm taking this morning to just come back to myself and do some self care. Like, I wouldn't know how to listen to my signals of my body and of my emotions without working with you. And now I move through my life like I know how to lead myself. Like I know what to do if I'm having a fear creep up, and I know how to not have it hold me back. I know how to like take a few hours off rather than and actually learn how to fill my own cup rather than taking a 2 week mental breakdown because I don't know what I'm doing and like I'm spiraling and I'm, whatever. Not to say breaks aren't happening, but I'm just saying like now I actually feel confident in listening to myself. I know what I need. I know what decisions to make. I know what I need if I'm feeling anxious or if I'm feeling sad or if I'm feeling uncomfortable. I use my voice now. Like I'm not, and of course, there's some times where I get a little nervous using my voice, but it doesn't mean that that's holding me back anymore. So it's the big overall thing I'm feeling now, reflecting back, is that I know how to listen to myself and lead myself, period. So that is a really cool feeling when you used to be codependent and seeking external validation and needed to ask everyone in your life before making a decision and, doubting yourself all the time and feeling like having a panic attack every day. I just don't feel that way anymore. I don't act that way anymore. And I think I'm like, no big deal about it now because I'm just like used to it now. Like I just like don't act that way anymore. So it's really cool. And my business feels really good. Like I know that if I hit some kind of obstacle or frustration or I feel a little lost, I have all the tools in place that I need to get clear again. I feel in my relationship, like I've learned so much through working with you just about my relationship I have now with Cody. And I know how to communicate better. I know how to use my voice and I know how to have a productive conversation. And with my parents, I have totally different relationships with them now. So, like, every aspect of my life has been completely revamped to suit my needs, which is really cool. So, yeah, I'm thriving.
Oh my God. Ah, 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 ah. I love it. I love it. I love it. I mean, it's like, it's a dream come true. Like, truly, like, everything that you move through is everything I think any healer, mentor, coach could ever want for their clients. And so, I mean, you did the work to get exactly to where you are. Like you were willing to revamp and change every area of your life to actually put you first, to actually have each and every area serve you instead of being served by
Yeah.
every area,
Oh my
right?
God. Yes. Yes. Oh, can I
And
add one thing?
yes.
I forgot to say, like after I started to heal and feel okay again after everything I went through moving out and stuff, I I also don't want people to think that I just like moved out and that like crushed my world. Like a lot of shit happened, but for the sake of time, we're not going to get into it. Anyway, after I was feeling like actually okay again, we had a session where like you were like, okay, where do you who is your 4 month self? Like who are you going to be in the future? Like feel into her. And it's so interesting. I just wanted to add like the shit we also manifested in our sessions is wild. Like my 4 month self what had like longer nails and like I was tanner and like moisturized and I kept using the word like voluptuous, I think it was. Like I just felt very taken care of and like independent. And I literally feel like that now. Like my nails aren't long because I literally just cut them, but like our last session, my nails were so long. It was like the smallest things that we manifested and saw in the future. And then our last session together, we were like, okay, let's feel into 4 months later. So I have something to go off of on my own. And I told you I like am in like a 3 bedroom apartment and like have my own car and it's funny because I can start to see that stuff being manifested now. So like just for example, August, I'm like 99.9% sure I'm moving into an apartment I've always wanted. I know, haven't told you this, but I'm like shit is like manifesting even without working with you. But and then like I'm like talking to my dad about helping me get a car, and like shit's like moving, you know? So that vision quest thing you do, it works.
I I don't know if you can see, like, I literally am tearing up. I'm tearing up because that's so cool. I'm so happy for you. I really am. You have no idea. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of the woman that like continues to go for her dreams, and like you are truly like just a fucking powerhouse. And so of course you are seeing everything begin to come through because you continue to show up for yourself every single day and you commit to yourself every single day. And when you continue to do that, shit comes through.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And I don't, you just saying that, I don't know, that just like brought me to tears. I can't believe it because I know how badly
I
we've
know.
been talking about this for months. And so, like, I know how badly you want this. And I'm just so, so, so unbelievably happy for you that it's all starting to align and make its way. I'm in awe. I'm in awe of you. Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
tell everyone how to find you because, again, you are a powerhouse. Mackenzie is truly the only girl I go to for all of my tarot psychic needs. Like, she is the real fucking deal, especially in the tarot world when, like, people can really just, like, I've just had some tarot readings where I'm like, I can't believe I just paid someone $50 to make me feel like absolute shit about myself and
Yeah.
about my life. And, like, you have such a gift to, like, channel and really help guide people in such a beautiful way. So please, like, how can people find you? How can people work with you? Give us everything.
Yeah, so thank you, first of all. Um, yeah, so I offer for where you can find me. Instagram and TikTok is at the Mackenzie Collective. That is my business, the Mackenzie Collective. Forgot to say that. And then you can go to those and check me out, follow me. Content is amazing if I do say so myself. And you can also go to my website, themackenziecollective.com. I offer tarot readings live on Zoom. Tarot soul readings is what they're called. Or you can order a tarot reading video. I just opened tarot reading videos for your pets, which have been doing amazing.
Oh my God, that's so fun.
It's been really cool. And I do the guide within course and container is like my spiritual awakening 101 course. I doubt you're just getting into all this listening to Megan's podcast, but if you are and you want to learn all my teachings, you can in there. I also obviously have my soul guidance membership that we mentioned earlier, which is 2 different tiers, lots of psychic insight from me. Yeah, there's psychic mediumship readings, obviously manifesting generators. So I got a shit ton of stuff you can dive into. But yeah, it's all found there. So love to have you in something.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Mackenzie. I cannot wait to see like September, Mackenzie, and see all of the things that wound up transpiring. Because I think that's who we tapped into in our last session, right? 4 months ago, like 4 months from then led us to September after a whole summer, which is wild. And now we're going into your season, which I'm so excited. I love my cancers. I love them so much. I think y'all are the most I have, like out of all of the signs. I have so many cancers in my life, and I just love them to death. Love them to death. Thank you so much, hon.
Of course. Thank you for having me and letting me like be vulnerable and share my story. Is really cool.
Of course. We'll talk soon. All right, everyone. Bye. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode as much as I did. Thank you so much for being here. You have no idea how much it means to me to be able to connect with you all in this way. I would love it if y'all could rate and review the podcast. It helps me so much. If you do, feel free to send me a screenshot on Instagram or emailing me directly. I would love to send you a special gift from me to you that you can use in any offering that's in my world. Remember to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Megan and Bound. And until next time, I'm sending you all of my love.